And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China!
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what?
China!
All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China!
Russian.
Russia!
Italian.
Italy!
German.
Germany!
Swedish.
Sweden!
Korean.
Korea!
Egyptian.
Egypt!
Nigerian.
Nigeria!
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
The lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. They want us to sell our souls to barter profit. Like God's property, it's hard to market. So we steady to aim, keep your eyes on target. Cause when you got to drive, yeah, they'd rather you park it. But I don't valet, you ain't getting these keys. I'm keeping closed hands, I'm on bended knee. I'm just a reflection, dealing with 8 sections. Art mixed with life, you can feel the convection. Your lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said
the same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black.
The white man is enacting a story all over the world. We left our homes and flooded the world. We smothered culture. We smothered knowledge. We erased history and rewrote it our way. Myself, my grandfather is 100% Ashkenazi Jewish. Claiming to be Jewish, Ashkenazi Jewish is just a conspiracy. White men claiming to be of tribes of Israel when I'm Germanic. You know, I have no ties to Israel, no ties to Judaism. You know, except loosely written history that's been whitewashed over for centuries. And, you know,
from the Renaissance.
Oh yeah, right. You wipe everything clean. It's funny how exactly the Renaissance. It's this rebirth, but it's white rebirth. I think at the same exact time the Renaissance is happening, Columbus is sailing to America and committing genocide.
Only one true ethnic Jew, the Mizrahi Jew, because they are Africans, and if you read the original Bible written in Phoenician Hebrew, they're not. Jewish people are not Europeans. The modern Jews in Israel are Russians or Khazars to be precise, from Russia. I learned it from my grandfather that because he was an Ashkenazi Jew.
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black.
We would not know how to live on the Sabbath if it were not for the oral law. We would not know what the laws of the dietary laws of kashrut are if it were not for the oral law. We would not know what the tefillin, what the boxes on our arms and heads that we wear every morning in our prayer service, what they're supposed to be. And in fact, all of Judaism would be completely mysterious. It would be voodoo if it were not for the oral law.
Midlam made, it teaches us that Adam not only named the animals, but he dated all the animals. But he was not able to be at peace with any of them until finally Chava was created.
Hashem didn't have a problem with that?
I mean, dated means trying to use a nice word.
What does dated means? What do you mean by dated?
Dated means he took her out to Pisgah.
Dated.
They went out to the Chosan. They had a little, Monte.
Relationship? Not relationship, just let's keep it rated PG.
We're going to keep it rated. We're going to keep it rated PG for the G for grandmas for this discussion. But that's what he did. It says he went out with the animals.
This is how the Zohar interprets the opening words of Genesis. The Hebrew is Bereshit bara Elohim, which we usually translate, in the beginning, God created. But the Zohar insists on reading the words in the precise order in which they appear in Hebrew. Bereshit, in the beginning, bara, it created, Elohim, God. In the beginning, it created God. The Zohar takes that to mean, in the beginning, infinity created God. Now, what could that possibly mean? God is now the object of the verse, not the subject, which sounds impossible or heretical, but the Zohar, I think, is saying that infinity is the true reality of God. Anything else that we call God is puny compared to that. That's our own imagination or our own estimate of what God could be.
It just doesn't matter. 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 It just doesn't matter.
Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
Want to say peace and blessings to everyone. Let me just adjust this mic right here. Let me see something here. All right. Just want to adjust this mic here. Decided to do a unscheduled live. I was gonna continue on with part 2 to the second Exodus. I'll do that next weekend. I just want to finish putting that lesson for us, the whole lesson together in terms of the format. Also, I will do part 2 to Revelation, dealing with the woman, dealing with Revelation 18, dealing with Babylon. I'll further address the whole Babylon thing, with Revelation chapter 18. We'll go into that, really give more. Actually, those are tie in together for us, Revelation 18, as well as the second Exodus, doctrine. So we'll address those two basically at the same time. We'll do that next weekend. But tonight, what I wanted to do, I just want to kind of piggyback off of what I taught last night. Want to give, just go a little further with it. Redo, teach them some of the things we taught about last night. But I wanted to take it a step further from a perspective of some of the things that I had my observation, the things that I saw, some of the responses in the comment section, the chat, that's promoting what is called the Queen of Heaven, right? The spirit of the Queen of Heaven, the spirit of defiance, Queen of Heaven, also known as the Queen Mother, also known as the Astarte, Ashereth, Ishtar, Eve, right? The worship of Eve, the worship of Lilith, the worship of Shakti, Kundalini. I could go right down the list. That's all part of what is called Jewish mysticism. It also is referred to as the Shekinah or the Shekinah or the Shekinah. I'm saying it in three different pronunciations because some will say Shekinah, some will say Shekinah, and others will say Shekinah, right? So what I wanted to do is kind of double back on some of the things I brought out yesterday. I'm not showing any additional clips. I'm just going to focus on the passages that I highlighted yesterday, but go a little further with that, but really deal with this spirit of this Queen of Heaven spirit, the spirit of defiance. And I'm going to give you scripture on that. Also, what I'm going to do too is just give a little sample, because I'm working on a full presentation to really go in on to really explain the contradictions of the book of Jubilees. And I'm not only going to address the book of Jubilees, I'm going to address a few other books as well. I know for some that could be, sacred in terms of touching on those books, because many of our brothers and sisters use that as their primary source. Some actually refer more to the book of Jubilees, the book of Enoch, and some of the other books that's now included in the canon. They'll put more authority in those books, place more authority in those books versus the law and the prophets that existed well before. When we think about the book of Jubilees, written around the time of the Maccabees, but we'll get into that. So I want to give you some, just one of the contradictions, just to give you an example of the contradiction of when I say that it kind of puts you in the same mindset of the Talmud. I'm going to explain that. I'm going to give you one of the examples I'm going to give you. It's going to confirm exactly what I just stated. All right. So I want to give some shout outs here. I know I haven't done it in a while, so I'm going to give you guys some shout outs. And if you guys want to jump on the chat, right, I'm going to drop the link inside the comment section. If you want to jump on when I get to a certain portion of this lesson, feel free to do so. Let me give some shout outs, because I really appreciate you guys for the love and support. And I want to be clear, what I do here is not all about trying to, promote myself, trying to make money and all that other stuff. The Most High has blessed me very well. This is not about making money, and this is not about ego tripping, make me think about the old De La Soul ego tripping. It's not about any of that. It's about teaching what's right, giving proper clarity with scripture. All right. But let me give some shout outs real quick. I want to say peace and blessings to Alexandria Leggett. Peace and blessings to Keith Dixon. I want to say shalom to you. Dante Williams. I want to say peace and blessings to you, as well as I already said Keith Dixon. Elizabeth Braswell. I want to say peace and blessings, shalom to you. Sister Yvette Rivera. Rivera. I want to say shalom to you. Mariah, shalom to you. I want to say peace and blessings to Michael Banaya. Thank you, brother and Pastor Kelly, for all that you have done. I learned so much from you, and I pray that you and your family for nothing but the best. Please continue to do what you do. Appreciate it, my brother. Thank you for the love and support. Continue to pray for us as you are, because it's a lot of craziness that's out here. You'd be surprised what type of things and type of attacks that people would try to do. I'll just leave it at that. But I really appreciate it, brother. Really appreciate it. Want to say peace and blessings to Mr. The Original School. I want to say peace and blessings to you. Who else do I have here? All right. Rod Lee, shalom to you. V Cannon, want to say shalom to you. Who else do I have here? I got my sister Carol here. Want to say peace and blessings to you. Holding it down in the mod section. Really appreciate it. Kay Singleton, want to say shalom to you. Who else do we have here? L.A. Hopkins, want to say peace and blessings to you as well. And want to give shout outs to my cousin here. Family, show some love to my cousin, Shalonda Carr, who is the wife of the late Dr. Sean Carr. Show us some love here, family. Really appreciate you, sis. Hope all is well. Hope and pray all is well. And I am working on doing something out in your area on the Shabbat, so I'll keep you posted when that come about. So, family, show my cousin some love here. Hallelujah. Who else do we have here? Sister Rita, want to say peace and blessings to you. Thank you for the love and support. Who else do we have here? All right, let me see if I see any additional names. Charles Bird, want to say peace and blessings to you. Jaxium, want to say shalom to you. Kwana, want to say shalom to you. Who else do we have here? Mr. Pirate Brain, want to say peace and blessings to you. Shalom to you. Mr. and Miss Say. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. This is my people right here. Shalom to you. 3 hour live. I don't know if I'm going to do 3 hours, but I'm gonna do a little bit, but not 3 hours. But peace and blessings to you. Really appreciate you. Let's see here. Cindy, Lou, want to say shalom to you. Yah son, holding it down. Yah son, peace and blessings to you. Who else do we have here? Actual Israel, want to say shalom to you. Who else do we have here? Let's see. A kindred Jegna, want to say peace and blessings to you as well. Yaquaba, want to say shalom to you. Girl meets kingdom, shalom to you. Long time. I know it's been a long time. And this is, this is an unscheduled live. I didn't put schedule a live here. I know I basically did 2 or 3 nights in a row. So this would probably be my 3rd night. So, so I'm going to take it easy over the next week. I'll get back to uploading a few clips here. But anyway, shalom to you as well here. Bethaya, Yah, Bat Yah, Israel. All right. I think I have everyone. And like the old school would say, if I missed your name, charge it to my head, not to my heart. But I really appreciate you guys for the love and support again. So let's go ahead and get into what we're going to cover here. We got a lot to cover here. I'm going to try to, summarize all of this in an hour so I can drop the link and give you guys an opportunity to jump on if you choose to. All right. So here we go. I want to deal with this Queen of Heaven, right? I want to deal with the Queen of Heaven, right? The spirit of defiance. I taught on this at our Shabbat service this morning. And if you want to watch the full lesson, I did, but this is not the full lesson. This is just taking some of that over there, but I'm kind of meshing it with last night's lesson, but I'm adding a little extra to it because I want to highlight give an example of the contradiction of the Book of Jubilees to close this out. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it, family. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right. So the Queen of Heaven, the spirit of defiance. So here's my disclaimer for tonight. There is none. Right. This is me just being unapologetically when it comes to giving this truth. I am not giving any disclaimers. If anyone get their feelings hurt, so be it. I am teaching the truth here. I'm not targeting anyone. But again, if anyone gets offended, so be it. I'm not going to bite my tongue. I'm not going to shift what I've been teaching. I'm not doing any of the sort. So there's no disclaimer tonight. All I ask you guys in the chat, be respectful in the chat. Let's refrain from the name calling and things along that line. If and don't be a distraction in the chat. Stay on topic. So let's deal with this here. What is the spirit of defiance? What is this Shekinah? What is the Shekinah? What is this Shekinah? What is this spirit? What is this Queen of Heaven, this Mother Queen spirit of defiance? So let's start with Numbers chapter 15, verse 32 through 36, right? And this is one of the passages, and you guys remember I covered this last night. This is one of the passages that Pastor Omar used to show that it's impossible to keep the Shabbat, but use this passage as an example to show that it's impossible to keep the Shabbat. You know, that for me, when not with just with him, but others that have used this passage, it gives the impression that the Most High is petty, that the Most High doesn't give a way of escape when it comes to his laws, statutes, and commandments, as if grace wasn't there from the very beginning. Trust me, if the Most High did not have grace, Adam and Eve would have just blotted them out. He wouldn't have taught them how to sacrifice. He wouldn't have clothed them. He wouldn't have did any of the sort. So Numbers chapter 15, verse 32 through 36, it says this: and while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, Dabar, they found a man that gathered quashash sticks upon the Shabbat. And they that found him gathered sticks, brought unto Moses and Aaron, Aharon, and unto all the witnesses. I know you see congregation, but a more accurate understanding of this text would be witnesses, Ida, right? The Hebrew word that means witness. It means recorder. All right. So it goes on to say, and they put him in ward. In other words, they locked him up because it was not declared what should be done to him. And Yahweh said unto Moses, the man shall surely be put to death. All the congregation shall stone him with stones without the camp. Verse 36, and all the congregation brought him without the camp and stoned him with stones, and he died as Yahweh commanded Moses. So the question we should ask is, why was the man punished, right, for gathering sticks on the Shabbat? Was this a harsh punishment? Was this the Most High being petty? What is the proper context of this passage? I'll say it again, family. Context is everything. And I know you guys hear me bring this up every now and then, the term biblical hermeneutics, right? Biblical hermeneutics simply is a scientific way of approaching ancient texts. That's what hermeneutics is, right? Biblical hermeneutics is a way of approaching the ancient text, right? In other words, making sure or giving you the formula, so to speak, of how to really put things in its proper context, right? How you approach the text and allow the text to speak to you, not vice versa, not interpolating the text whatsoever, right? Inserting things into the text to make it the outcome or the understanding, something else, but anyway. So why was the man punished gathering sticks on the Shabbat, right? Was this simply a petty crime? Was this an extreme punishment? So this entire situation, the passages that I highlighted, this entire situation is about a person who is being defiant, who's openly, publicly, that's what defiance simply means, is someone that's publicly, right? Publicly going against, right? This entire situation is about a person who is being defiant. And when we look at the law of defiance, it precedes these passages that are highlighted. So if we go to verse 30 and 31, this is going to give you the proper understanding of the text that we read, right? It says, but the soul that doeth aught presumptuously, right, whether he be born in the land or a stranger, the same reproacheth Yahweh, and that soul shall be cut off from among his people, because he hath despised the word of Yahweh and hath broken his commandments. That soul shall utterly be cut off. His iniquities, in other words, bending, twisting the law, statutes, and commandments, bending and twisting the law, shall be upon him. So again, the soul that doeth aught presumptuously. So here's the Hebrew dictionary definition of presumptuous. It says this: to be to be high actively, exalt self, haughty, Remember, right? When you understand haughty, many will go to Isaiah chapter 30 towards the end of that, not Isaiah 30, but Isaiah 3, and towards the end of that chapter where it mentions the haughty women. But guess what? For every haughty woman, guess what? They had to have a father, they had to have a mother. So if you want to see the haughty women, go to chapter 2, and you'll see the haughty fathers, the haughty men that produced haughty daughters, right? Mount up, presumptuously proud, breed worms. Let me say that again, breed worms, to be rotten. So this gives you an idea about this man with the sticks who publicly called himself rising up, breeding worms, being rotten, being proud, disrespecting the law, statutes, and commandments, the instructions, the command that the Most High had given. He wanted to publicly go against the Most High. All right. So whether he be born in the land or a stranger, same reproacheth. So regardless whether you're blood descendant of Israel or non-blood descendant of Israel, the Most High is not going to allow anyone to disrespect him. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, again, whether you blood descendant of Israel or non-blood descendant of Israel. It just doesn't matter.
It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
That's right, family. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what color. I'm not even going to say color. It doesn't matter whether you an Israelite or non-Israelite. The Most High looks at disrespect the same way. All right. So let's look at the Hebrew dictionary definition of reproach. Let's see what it says. It says to hack, in other words, with words, right? Revile, blasphemy, God, as you see it, the Most High. All right. So because he hath despised the word of Yahweh, let's see what this word despise means. It means to disesteem, despise, disdain, contempt, contemptible, vile, hold in contempt. Right. So this is the man. This man was operating in this spirit publicly, purposely, wanted to disrespect the Most High. That's why he was the judgment was passed against him. Wasn't about the sticks. It was about his spirit of being divisive, his spirit of being again, purposely going against the Most High. In other words, defiance. That was the whole reason. That was the whole purpose, family. Can't make it any plainer than that. All right. Can't not make it any plainer than that. All right. So Yah gave this law, right? This law of defiance, right? This law is to control anyone that's being defiant, that's deliberately, right? Deliberately breaking or going against him. Brazen sins that dares or presumes that Yah upon Yah, or thinks that Yah will not judge or condemn them. So in very simple terms, Yahweh spells out exactly what he means. Defiant, the deliberate, presumptuous sin means this: to blaspheme Yahweh, to despise Yahweh's word, to deliberately break Yah's commandments. So does this exclude those who don't know? Let me show you here. Numbers chapter 15, verse 29. Guess what? Notice what it says. Ye shall have one law for him that sinneth through ignorance, both for him that is born among the children of Israel and for the stranger that sojourneth among them. So this makes it clear, one law. But it doesn't matter if you are sinning in ignorance. It doesn't matter whether you are children of Israel or a stranger dwelling among them. But let's see what ignorance means from a Hebraic school of thought. It says to stray. So you stray away, guess what? You still have to follow the law, statutes, and commandments. You still going to be held accountable. As you see here, deceived. Even if you're deceived, guess what? You still have to, regardless of whether you're deceived or strayed away, guess what? The penalties, right? There's not an excuse to break the law, statutes, and commandments. Right? You still have to be accountable. Go astray. But you see here, notice what it says here: sin ignorantly, commit sin or error. So regardless of the reason, the penalties it still applies, right? Whether you know or don't know. And I used this analogy in our assembly earlier today, right? Getting ready to say yesterday, it's getting close. I think it's after 12 now. But anyway, I used this analogy. When you're driving and you speed, and I think all of us done this before, you went over the speed limit, got pulled over by the police officer. You didn't see that sign. You didn't see the sign. You honestly didn't see that sign, but you got pulled over. You didn't know the speed limit in that area. So what happened? Now that police officer pulls you over, he gives you a ticket. Regardless of whether you know or don't know, you're still at the mercy of that police officer. That police officer gives you a ticket, right? He's not in the wrong because you still broke the law, regardless of whether you know or you don't know, whether you did it knowingly or not knowingly. That's what this scripture is saying. You still broke the instructions. Doesn't matter if you are if you're ignorant, right? As you see here, right? As you did it in error. In other words, it was an accident, whatever the case may be. In error, you just didn't know, sin ignorantly, whether you were deceived straight away or you just did it not knowing. You didn't know. That is still, no matter what, you're still held accountable for it. The grace and mercy is what the Most High choose to do in carrying out the punishment, the penalty, just like that police officer. No matter what, whether you didn't get a ticket or not, you were still wrong. The grace is if he choose not to give you a speed ticket. Nevertheless, Matthew chapter 4, verse 6 and 7, right? This is the Messiah, right? And he saith, and this is Hasatan, and he say, if thou be Ban Yah Alahayim, in other words, the Son of the Most High, cast thyself down, for it is written, he shall give his angels charge concerning thee, and in their their hands, they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. So Hasatan is coming at the Messiah with the word. He's trying to tempt the Messiah with the word. Right? Family, the Messiah is the word that became flesh. Isn't that the scriptures? So Hasatan is simply trying to test the Messiah to see if he knows himself. And your test, my test, each one of us are tempted and tested to see if we truly know who we are. Truly know this word, Dabar HaKodash, the holy word. So Yahushai said unto him, it is written again, thou shalt not tempt Nasa, Yahweh, thy Alahayim. So guess what? The Messiah is quoting from the law of tempting Yahweh, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 15 through 17. It says, for Yahweh thy Alahayim is a jealous Alahayim among you, lest the anger of Yahweh thy Alahayim be kindled against thee and destroy thee from off the face of the earth. Ye shall not tempt Yahweh, your Alahayim, as ye tempted Nasa, him in Masa. Ye shall diligently keep the commandments of Yahweh, your Lord, your Elohim, and his testimonies and his statutes, in other words, the instructions, the laws, which he hath commanded thee. So family, because I get asked this all the time. Hey, pastor, what's your opinion on this? No, my opinion doesn't matter. It's all about what the word says. Anyone that have had any interaction with me have asked me questions, asking me to give them my personal opinion on the scriptures, on certain situations. Not tell them, I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm going to give you the word. I'm going to make sure you're held accountable by way of the word. What does the word say? Family, that's your approach should be. That's how your approach should be whenever you're dealing with the word of the Most High. It's not about your opinions. There's so many people are giving opinions, but they're not actually giving the word. Beware of people giving prophecies or call themselves interpreting prophecies, right? Or dreams rather. That's why I want to use that. I meant to say dreams because I get asked, hey, pastor, I had a dream about this. Can you interpret it for me? The first thing I'm going to go to is the word. Let's see how this lines up with the word. It's not about, again, my opinion. My opinion means nothing. The word is everything, right? So we shall not tempt Yahweh by doing what? Purposely breaking his law, statutes, and commandments. And that's what this man was operating under, the spirit of, he just wanted to operate under that spirit of defiance. Want to publicly embarrass the Most High. And this is Apostle Paul's warning. You guys remember this? He said this in his warning, right? To those that are teaching, those that are operating in these different offices. He gave some apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, some pastors, some teachers, till we all come in the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of Ban Yah Elohim, in other words, the Son of the Most High, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of the Messiah Christ, that we henceforth be no more children tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine. Family, I'm not even going to talk about the people. It's so many leaders that are what? Leading Yah's people astray with every wind of doctrine. You'd be surprised what pastors are teaching and the pastors are indulging in just because they want to, have that revelation that no one has ever heard. You guys remember Brian Carn, the so-called bishop who plagiarized a witch and then took all the works of a witch and spewed it among the people as if it was a prophecy from the Most High? And yet, guess what? We, in other words, the people still support him with the slave mentality. Our ancestors were basically hacked and programmed to let massa be massa. Massa could rape the man's wife. That's massa. Massa could rape the woman's husband. That's still massa. Massa could take your child. Massa could take your daughter, do whatever he want to do with your sons and daughters. That's just massa being massa. Massa can spit on you. Massa could do whatever. That's just massa being massa. Same thing with that spirit of these pastors. That's just pastor being pastor. And I'm going to show you that spirit. We've been programmed to make excuses of those that we know is bending and twisting the law, statutes, and commandments by trying to say exactly what the pastor may have said, the elder may have said, the minister may have said, when actually they made it clear their stance and what they said. No, but that's not what they really mean. No, they said exactly what they mean. You say what you say what you mean, and you mean what you say. So that still ties in that spirit of defiance, that we henceforth be no more children tossed to and fro, carried about with every wind of doctrine by the sleight of men and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie and wait to deceive. So the purpose of the professional or office bearing these gifts of leadership is that we no longer be children and immature, being led astray by false teaching. So ministers are given to us. These offices are given to us to keep us from being children tossed to and fro and carried about by every wind of false doctrine and or teachings. Come on, family. False doctrines existed back in the biblical times, the ancient times, the antiquities. Just because it's an old doctrine or old document doesn't mean that it's a right document. Man, they've been writing false doctrines, way before the Messiah walked the face of this earth. Come on, fam. It's a fact. So again, ministers are given these offices, these titles, rather, I would rather say titles, these positions, these areas that leaders function in are given to us to keep us from being children tossed to and fro and carried about by every wind of false doctrine and or false teaching. Right? So again, what is the spirit of the Shekinah or the Shekinah or the Queen of Heaven? What is this spirit? Now, family, I'm going to share with you what this spirit is. And this is parallel to what we see today. A lot of the behaviors that we see today. Jeremiah chapter 44, verse 15 through 19. Let's see what it says. Then all men which knew that their wives had burned incense unto other deities. So all the men at this time, they knew that their wives were worshiping the Queen of Heaven, worshiping Ishtar, knowing that they're worshiping, doing the very things that the Most High said do not do. And all the women that stood by, a great multitude, even all the people that dwell in the land of Egypt, Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying, notice this here, as for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of Yahweh. So they're clear. Jeremiah, we know you speaking in the words of the Most High. We know you speaking in his authority. But notice what they say here. We will not hearken unto thee. This is that spirit of the Queen of Heaven. This is that spirit of defiance. There's so many of our brothers and sisters, no matter how much of this truth you give to them, they are going to still do exactly what they want to do, no matter what you tell them, no matter what you show them with scripture. They make it clear they're not going to honor the Shabbat. They make it clear that they're not going to honor the feast days. They make it clear they're not going to honor the commandments. They make it clear. And the excuse is we under a new covenant. But they can't tell you what the new covenant is. They can't tell you what the new covenant is. They scared to go to Matthew chapter 19 when the rich young ruler said, hey, what must I do to have eternal life? And the Most High, Yahweh said to him, not Yahweh, but Yahweh Shai, the Christ said to him, obey the commandments. And then he didn't just stop there. He started quoting from the 10 commandments, starting at the 5th commandment. He didn't have to tell him to honor the Shabbat because they were already doing that. This discussion occurred on the Shabbat. So he quoted from Exodus chapter 20, the 10 commandments. He quoted from the covenant. In other words, keep the covenant. But no matter what you tell these brothers and sisters, they still want to hold on to what they want to do. That is the spirit of the Queen of Heaven. That is the spirit of the Shekinah, the Shekinah, the Shekinah. As for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of Yahweh, we will not hearken. In other words, we will not listen to you. We will not shemai, listen with intelligence. We're going to ignore you. We will not be obedient. That's exactly what they're saying right here. That's exactly what they're saying here. Verse 17, but we will certainly do whatsoever thing goeth forth out of our own mouth. They said we're going to do whatever we want to do. Whatever we say it, we're going to do it. We're going to continue to do what we do. In other words, to burn incense unto the Queen of Heaven. In other words, they're going to still worship her. To pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done in our fathers, our kings, our princes, in the cities of Judah, and in the streets of Jerusalem, for we had plenty of victuals, and were well, and saw no evil. Doesn't that sound familiar? Doesn't that sound familiar? Many of our brothers and sisters that are teaching this word, that's making it clear, hey, you know what? I'm being blessed. I'm still here. I'm being blessed, even though I'm not honoring the Shabbat. I'm being blessed, even though I'm not honoring the law, statutes, and commandments. I can't be doing anything wrong because I'm still here. I'm not skipping a beat. That's the spirit of the Queen of Heaven. That is the spirit of the Queen of Heaven. To think that, hey, you know what? I'm good. I never got caught. That's just like you saying you never got caught. I done stole out of the store. I never got caught. I done broke all kinds of laws. I never got caught. I must be doing something right. The Most High must be condoning what I do because I never got caught. That's that spirit of rebellion. That is that spirit of defiance. That is that Queen of Heaven, that Mother Queen. That is that spirit. Right? They're being rude and they disrespecting the prophet. They making it clear, we don't care what you say. And he says again, but since we left off to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven and to pour out drink offerings, we have wanted all things and have been consumed by the sword and by famine. In other words, they saying they've been protected by the Queen of Heaven. They haven't skipped a beat. And when we burn incense to the Queen of Heaven and poured out drink offerings unto her, did we make her cakes to worship her? They're making it clear, hey, not only did we make drink offerings, not only did we give milk, we gave cookies to Santa Claus. Come on, family. That's what you get the milk and cookies from. Poured out drink offerings unto her. Did we make her cakes to worship her? And pour out drink offerings unto her without our men. He said, hey, we didn't need permission from our men. We did it. Our men, they good with it. Everybody's doing it. We good. If they don't have a problem, hey, if our husbands don't have a problem, we don't have a problem. So the women were forcing the issue. They were demanding, the women were demanding that the family continue worshiping these idols, in particular, the goddess Ishtar. And family, and I'm not trying to disrespect the women here, but guess what? When I looked at some of those comments, most of the disrespectful comments came from women. Most of those that was trying to defend whenever certain situations arise, most of the disrespect comes from the women. And of course, you have the men pushing the spirit too, because they condoning this. Come on, fam. We got to be real with this. We got to be real with this. You see here the women saying, we're going to do what we're going to do. Family, when I do certain teachers that have to question doctrine, most of the time it's the women. And this is no disrespect to our sisters, but I'm just being real with it. When you look at the beef between David, King Saul and King David, who instigated the beef? It was the women singing songs at Saul's parade. Saul killed thousands, while other women were saying, well, David killed 10,000. At Saul's celebration, at the coming from war. Come on, family. We have to be real with that. And that's prevalent in this community right now. That's prevalent in this community right now. We good when it comes to going at the pastors inside the Christian church. I done posted all kinds of videos and made all kinds of things rebuking the pastors in the church. But when it comes to addressing doctrine, no matter how respectful you are with it, I've been very respectful guess what? I get disrespected. Got called to lie, got called liars, got called defaming, slander, and all kinds of stuff. That is this spirit right here. That is the spirit of the Queen of Heaven spirit. That is the Shakti. That is the Shekinah. That is that spirit of rebellion. And many are saying they still want to do what they want to do. In an attempt to defend whoever they want to defend. Come on, family. Come on, family. Now, I grew up in Newark, New Jersey. I've seen a lot. I see people lose their life over taking up or trying to prove their manhood because there was a sister, their girlfriend, didn't want to be quiet, was instigating a situation. Come on, fam, we got to be real. There was a mother being disrespectful to a 20-year-old kid going to college, had everything in front of him, being disrespectful to him at McDonald's. And the kid, working behind the cash register, was like, hey, doing everything he can to be respectful to get her another order. And she just straight disrespected him, called her son to come out there, knowing that her son was a hothead, and her son came out there, and guess what? Killed the young man. Come on, family. That's the spirit of the Queen of Heaven. And guess what, man? We're condoning it. Because again, the men knew that their wives were doing this. And actually, if you read the fullness of the scripture, they were participating too, especially when you connect this to Jeremiah chapter 7. Come on, family. That's right. Instigating a situation is just as bad or even worse than the fight itself. Man, I done got into some fights just over an instigator. How many of you guys heard this before if you grew up in the city? Baddest man hit my hand. That's the instigator. So, family, that is the spirit of the Queen of Heaven. When you make it clear that you are going to do what you want to do, no matter what, that even when the scriptures giving you nothing but clarity that we're supposed to honor the law, statutes, and commandments, you still purposed in your heart, you are going to do what you want to do, no matter what. And guess what? I done play some clips even from last night. But I'm not going to play it again because I don't want to continue to, dwell on that situation. That said, hey, you know what? You can have the Shabbat. You can have the old covenant. Come on, family. That is the spirit of the Queen of Heaven. That no matter what you say, no matter what you do, no matter what things you share, these people still going to hold on to what they want to hold on to. So again, the women were forcing the issue, demanding that the family continue worshiping the idols, in particular, the goddess Ishtar. So the women's hearts, it ached for peace and prosperity. Because see, when you understand this prosperity, guess what? Prosperity ties into fertility, right? Fertility, prosperity. What Israel were doing during the time of Jeremiah, right? When you read Jeremiah chapter 7, actually go to starting at chapter 2, on every hill, under every tree, Israel played the harlot. In other words, the priests, they were engaging in sexual rituals and sexual orgies, right? The people was engaging in those things with the priests to try to secure or ensure that they was going to have a good harvest. That's that prosperity message ties into the spirit of fertility, still ties into the spirit of what? The Queen of Heaven, the Mother Queen. The Queen of Heaven, the Mother Queen or Queen Mother, that all ties into that spirit. So when you hear the term prosperity, think of fertility. So the woman's heart ached for a peace and prosperity. So they turned to a religion of fertility, a belief system of fertility that promised peace and prosperity and an abundance of blessings on their families. With hearts that were hard against Yah, they stubbornly rejected Yahweh. They were operating in the spirit of defiance, who pointed out their sins and demanded that they live righteously or else face the coming judgment. So in their confrontation with Jeremiah, they defiantly, shamelessly declared that they would continue to worship the God of fertility, in other words, prosperity, and they let the prophet know that they had their husband's support. That's the scriptures. That is what's happening today. Come on, family. Did you guys see some of the comments that was in the chat over the past couple of days? The insults, calling me a liar, saying I'm making stuff up, insinuating I didn't watch it. Then when you show the clip, then when I show clips of the exact words, oh, that's not what the person's really saying. Come on, family. I took screen prints of some of the comments. It was so bad, I took screen prints and then took it down. Because many were saying, one of the worst ones, they were saying that, hey, that's not what this person is really, what they mean. No, they said exactly what they mean. That is the spirit of, again, Queen Mother, Mother Queen, right? Queen of Heaven, Shekinah, Shekinah. All right. So, right. Let's see here. Is this what I want to cover here? Yeah, this is duplicate slide. Let me go past this here. All right. We already covered this here. This is duplicate here. I should have taken this down. Let me take this here. All right. Yeah, that's duplicates here. So let's touch on the Book of Jubilees real quick. Right? Because again, going back, what Paul says here, let's go back to what Paul says real quick. Right? He says that henceforth be no more children tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine. Come on, family. So this is telling you that there were writings during this time. Every wind of doctrine, the Messiah warned about these things. Doctrine, there was doctrines, false doctrines circulating among the Israelites. Just because you see something is an old document and have a name from the scriptures with over it, the name of it, like Jubilees. Oh, you know what? That's the holy word. Come on, family. No, that's why he said every wind of doctrine. Come on, family. We have to put things in this proper perspective. This is not something that's simply a modern time in the time that we live in. Back in this time, what Paul was teaching on is some of the things that was rising up among the community. There was people writing all kinds of false doctrines, pushing false doctrines, disguising themselves to be what? A messenger of who? The angel of light. Come on, family. Come on, family. See, when you start understanding like the Gnosticism in the 1st, 2nd century, these Gnostic doctrines was popping up all over the place. The Book of Jubilees were written during the time of the Maccabees. No, the author is unknown. But let me highlight a couple of things real quick, and then I'm going to drop the link here. All right, let's go back to the Book of Jubilees. Who wrote the Book of Jubilees? Right? And this is just coming from the Britannica. But you know what, family? I'm going to drop a link inside the comment section. Right? This is a great link, and you could download the Book of Jubilee. Right? This is one of the better ones, because not only are you downloading the book, but you're getting more of a historical account. You're getting more information on exactly what the Book of Jubilees is, the origins. Anyway, I'm going to drop this inside the comment section. All right. And you could download it and you can review it. All right. Let me give you some information of the Book of Jubilees, and we're going to highlight one situation or one contradiction of many, right? But we're just going to highlight one tonight, and then I'll do a special teaching on the Book of Jubilees. All right. So it goes on and tells us the Book of Jubilees is called Little Genesis, right? Most notable for its chronological schema, by which events described in Genesis on through Exodus 12 are dated by Jubilees of 49 years, each of which is composed of 7 cycles of 7 years. The institution of a Jubilee calendar supposedly would ensure that the observance of Jewish religious festivals and holy days on the proper dates, and by setting Jews apart from their Gentile neighbors, would emphasize the Old Testament picture of Israel as the covenant community of God, in addition to paraphrasing and embellishing. Make a note of paraphrasing, family. Make a note of embellishing. So what this is saying, right? The writer of the Book of Jubilees, even though there's more than one writer, right? They decided to rewrite the Book of Genesis by paraphrasing and filled with embellishing, right? Exaggerating things. And we'll touch on one of the exaggerations. So in Genesis, Jubilees also relates stories explaining the origin of contemporary Jewish laws and customs, and older hints to the Hellenistic mind, more sacred. Right? Origin is attributed to the Mosaic law and many of the legal precepts in Leviticus by asserting that the patriarchs in Genesis observed laws and festivals that actually came into existence after the age of the patriarchs. Jubilees is in its final form was likely written about 100 years BC, right? This is, in other words, during the time of the Maccabees. Though it incorporates much older mythological traditions, its isolationist religious spirit and its strictness led the Essenes sect of Jews at Qumran in Palestine to quote extensively from it in the Damascus document, one of the major works, right? So Jubilees is also closely connected with the Genesis Apocryphon, which also parallels Genesis and was favored by the Qumran community. Several fragments, and we're going to deal with the Qumran not tonight. Several fragments of the original Hebrew edition of Jubilees were found in the Qumran library. In other words, fragments. Let me make that clear. Fragments. Jubilees is preserved in its entirety only in an Ethiopic translation, which was derived from a Greek translation made from the Hebrew. So when you study this book and you study the history of this book, right, there's only fragments, right? So there was multiple authors, and then even then comparing the fragments, some of the fragments to the actual writings that the Ethiopians have, it's filled with interpolations. It was interpolated, and I'll explain what interpolation is here in a second. But let's start with paraphrase, right? What is paraphrase? This is what paraphrase means: a restatement of a text, passage, or work, giving the meaning in another form. That's what paraphrase means. So the Book of Jubilees is literally someone rewriting, restating the ancient text, Torah, right? Giving the meaning in another form. In other words, their own opinions and their own expressions. That's basically what it means. Come on, family. Come on, family. Come on, family. And most of our brothers and sisters who are pushing, for example, the Book of Jubilees, I can tell you they did not read Torah. They don't know Torah. See, that's the nature of people, right? When you hear something is hidden or lost, you gravitate to that more. Man, you have people that went from the church and got awakened, right? In the church, they weren't really reading their Bibles. got into this awakening, still not reading their Bibles, but they'll read the book of Jubilees. They'll read the book of Enoch. They'll read the 2 books of Jasher. They'll read all, they'll gravitate to those books. But then when you ask them, did you read Torah? Tell me about Genesis. They can't tell you. They can't tell you, family. Come on, family. That's what Paul is talking about. Every wind of doctrine. All right. So let's continue here. All right. We're making good time. So here's an example coming out of the Mirror Bible. You guys remember this. This is a paraphrase Bible, right? I already gave you the meaning of, paraphrase. I'm not going to get into the mirrors, what mirrors are. I don't want to get into all of that. But here's an example. Romans chapter 6, verse 23. We used this yesterday. The reward of the law is death. In the Mirror Bible, it's saying the reward of the law is death. But when we go to the actual text, the wages of sin is death. But here in the Mirror Bible, it says the reward of the law is death. That's the dangers of paraphrasing, right? Restating something, putting your own spin to it, embellishment. That's all what the dangers of paraphrasing, right? So that's what this is right here. You see an example right here. The wages of sin is death, but the gift of Yahweh is eternal life. But in this Mirror Bible, which is a paraphrase Bible, the reward of the law is death. The gift of grace is life. Right? So this is the Bible. This is the Bible that, Creflo Dollar uses. This is the Bible that T.D. Jakes and many of those guys use. Many of those mega ministry guys, this is what they use. This is what they quote from. Right? So let's go ahead and get into, let's go ahead and do some comparisons. All right? Let's do some comparisons. All right, let's keep it positive, family. Let's keep it positive tonight. Let's keep it positive. All right? Let's keep it positive. All right? So this is another example here highlighted when it's how the paraphrase Bible is referring to the commandments. Basically, had it not been for the commandments, as you see here, but the commandments triggered sin into action. Saying because of the commandments, sin came into action. Suddenly, an array of sinful appetites were awakened in me. The law broke sin's dormancy. Without the law, I was alive. The law was introduced, sin revived, and I died. Instead of being my guide to life, the commandments proved to be a death sentence. Come on, family. In this Mirror Bible saying that the commandments proved to be a death sentence. You don't see that here. Let me go to this one portion here. I'm going to go to the last portion of it here. Notice what it says here. For wherefore the law is holy and the commandments is holy, right? The law is holy, the commandment holy and just and good, right? So what Paul is dealing with is showing that when he was young, the law, right? The instructions of the Most High taught him what sin really is. It taught him what sin really is. And you'll get proper clarity when you read the 19th book of Psalms. What Paul is quoting here, what Paul is teaching from. He's saying that the law, statutes, and commandments is used to correct us. How can you correct your ways? How could a man correct their ways? That's right there inside this, in the 19th book of Psalms. But anyway, family. So let me show you here one of the issues with one of the contradictions with the book of Jubilees. Again, the author of this book is unknown. Here's some of the contradictions. Here's one of the contradictions we want to cover tonight, starting with the creation of man. When we go to Genesis chapter 2 and 7, right? It says here, and Yahweh formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. When we go down to verse chapter 7. Yahweh Elohim formed man from the dust of the ground. That's still a duplicate. But anyway, man became a living soul. We skip down to verse 20. Elohim said, let the waters bring forth abundant, right? And well, actually, this is going to Genesis chapter 1, verse 20. And this is just dealing with the authority of man. All right. You know, and we see here this phrase, Napash Kai Ya, right? Napash Kaya in the Israeli Nephesh, right? But we're saying it in the ancient Napash Kaya, right? And the reason why I'm showing that, you'll see the same expressions, right, for man, and you see it for beast. But the difference is, that's why I'm explaining here, nephesh, breathing. That's all it simply means, right? Life, right? Creature, person. And when we look at living, this is what living means. Alive, strong, life. So that's why I shared here, when we deal with this particular passage, I didn't want to get into all of this, but since I have it up here, this is showing that the animals, right? Napash Kaya. In other words, living creatures. That's all that means. And that's the same expression that is used that you'll see in the ancient Hebrew for man, right? Let's fast forward here, right? We already dealt with living, right? To live, revive, keep, alive, give life, live, be whole, right? Animals don't have a soul, family. So I want to make it clear. Animals don't have a soul. All right. But let me just fast forward here. Animals operate on instinct. And that's what I'm bringing out. I meant to take some of this out. I didn't want to get into all of this. Right. But this is what instinct means. Typically fixed patterns of behavior in animals. All right. But anyway, man's behaviors are based on spirit, not instinct. So unlike the animals, Yahweh blew the breath of life into Adam's nostrils. So when we go back to Genesis 2 and 7, right, and that's where we see that phrase, Napash Kaya, that same phrase that we saw for the animals. This simply means that man became a living being, a living creature. That's all it's saying here. But again, we operate on spirit, not instincts. So Yahweh formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. We go to Genesis 18. And Yahweh said, it's not good that the man should be alone. I will make him and help me for him. Let me read that again. And Yahweh said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him and help me for him. Right? The Most High said it was not good for man to be alone. Why? Right? The proper understanding of this, let me fast forward. In other words, having no one present on one's own. So that's what alone means. But let me answer this question, right? Let me highlight this here. This is the Hebrew word that you'll see in the text, haya, right? So you'll see the phrase la haya. In other words, exist. Haya means exist, become, come to pass, accomplish, come to pass, quit. So when you see la, that means not or no. So when you see la haya, it means not quit. So guess what? When it says it's not good for man to be alone, with it, that proper understanding in the quote or translation would be, it's not good for man to quit. Quit what? His responsibilities to Yah. It's not good for man to quit. So Yahweh is actually saying that it is not good for man to give up, break, become faint, fall, and quit from doing the work he was ordained to do. So Eve did not receive her name until after they got in trouble, right? I don't want to get into all that, but nevertheless, Eve's responsibility was and is to keep Adam from giving up on his responsibility by doing what? Speaking life. All right. So like I said, I didn't mean to put some of these slides, and I tried to shrink it down and I left these in, but I want to explain it real quick while it was up. But let's go to this word here, interpolation. All right. Insert something of a different nature into something else. That's what it means. Insert something of a different nature into something else. The sub-entry, insert in a book or other text, especially in order to give a false impression as to its date. So when we go here, right, we explain the creation according to the scriptures. Now, many will teach that there was two creation processes. right? One in Genesis chapter 1 and the other in Genesis chapter 2. That is completely incorrect. There was only one creation. Genesis 2 is giving you more of a detailed understanding of the creation of man. So I want to make that clear. All right. So let's go to the book of Jubilees. Let's see what the book of Jubilees say about the creation process. This is coming from Jubilees chapter 3, and we're going to highlight verse 2 through 6 right now. Notice what it says. It says this, and Adam named them all by their respective names, and as he called them, so was their name. And on these 5 days, Adam saw all these male and female according to every kind that was on earth, but he was alone and found no helpmeet for him. Right now, I want to make sure you understand this, family. When you see chapter 3, it says here, I want to make sure you understand this. Right. And on the 6 days of the second week. So this is supposed to be the second week. So this is telling you that Adam was created on the first week, but in the second week, these are what Adam is doing on the second week. It says, and on the 6 days of the second week, right? So this, nowhere in the scriptures, you see this written there. This is where you get into paraphrase and embellishment, interpolation, right? And the Lord said unto us, it is not good that man should be alone. Let us make him a helpmeet for him. And the Lord, our God, did I put 4 in there? Yeah, that's it. And verse 5, and the Lord, our God, caused a deep sleep to fall upon him, and he slept. And he took for the woman one rib from amongst his ribs. And this rib was the origin of the woman from amongst his rib. And he built up the flesh in its stead and built a woman. Now, if you understand what this is saying, and I'm going to prove to you that the book of Jubilees is basically saying that Adam, right, created on the first week, the 6th day, and Eve was basically a miniature person. Was a miniature person. Eve existed inside of Adam. That's what the book of Jubilees is basically saying. Let me break this down here. Verse 6, and he awakened Adam out of his sleep, and on awaking, he arose on the 6th day, and he brought her to him, and he knew her, and said unto her, this is now bone of my bones, flesh of my flesh. She will be called my wife, and because she was taken from her husband. So Jubilees, this unknown author, saw here a 2-step process in the creation of Adam and Eve. He's literally giving you a 2-step process, right? He literally is telling us here in this book that Adam and Eve were indeed created on the 6th day, but Eve was at that time a little homunculus, in other words, a little tiny person, right? And, which simply is telling us that she was in some type of pouch located inside Adam's innards, right? So in the second week, right? So in the first week, Jubilee states that man and woman was created on the 6th day. But when we get into the second week, right, then he explains how that Eve was taken out of Adam. So Eve was already existing in Adam inside the first week. The second week, now the Most High pulled Eve out of Adam. That's what this is saying. So in the second week, Yah supposedly extracted the homunculus, in other words, little person, miniature person, a fully developed fetus, and turned her into a full-size human, Eve. Jubilee's unknown author was careful to stress that Eve's birth, as it supposedly took place on the 6th day of the second week, exactly 1 week after Adam's creation. Jubilee's unknown author also used this writing to further interpolate the creation writings in Torah in an attempt to insert the law of purification of women. Wait a minute. So you got the law of purification for women, but he's trying to put that on a man. Like Adam gave birth. Come on, family. Do you see the contradictions here? Come on, family. I hope this is making sense to you guys. Come on, family. Right? Let's go to Leviticus 12. This is the laws of purification for the woman who's given birth. Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a woman conceived seed and born a man child, then she shall be unclean 7 days, according to the days of the separation for her infirmity. Shall she be unclean. And the 8th day, the flesh of the foreskin shall be circumcised, and she shall then continue in the blood of her purifying 3 and 30 days. So now she's still isolated, right? She shall touch no hollow thing. In other words, coming into the temple, right? Nor come into the sanctuary until the days of her purifying be fulfilled. But if she bear a maid child, in other words, a female child, then she shall be unclean 2 weeks, right? So according to Jubilees, Adam gave birth to Eve, a woman. So the first week, guess what? She was inside his womb alive. That's what I'm saying to you, family. This is why you got to pay attention to what you read. And she was taken from out of him the second week. So Eve falls under, according to the book of Jubilees, under this portion of this law. Because right? You see where I'm going at. They're applying, whoever wrote this is applying the laws of purification for the women to Adam and creating a whole nother narrative. But if she bear a maid child, then she shall be unclean 2 weeks, as in her separation, and she shall continue in the blood of her purifying 60 days, right? 66 days, right? So we see over 66 days plus 2 weeks. So we see 80 days. All right. So this interpolation of the text suggests that Adam and Eve was also impure. Come on, family. Come on, family. Come on, family. They are saying that Adam and Eve was not pure. Genesis make it clear when you get to chapter 2, and the Most High said everything was good. But here in the book of Jubilees, it's suggesting that Adam was not pure. Eve was not pure. They both was impure. So this interpolation of the text suggests that Adam and Eve was impure. This unknown author's account stressed that that there was a fully developed miniature person inside Adam, right? That's what it said. Excuse the typo. So this unknown author account of the creation account stresses that there was a fully developed miniature person inside Adam. So this has the overtones of the Talmudic writings. Come on, family. That's why I said this. When you go to Barakah 61a, notice what it says here. In the rib which the Lord God had taken from man, he made a woman. Right. And it goes on to say here, because this is dealing with the discussions, the arguments here, but it says no objection can be raised against the one who says it was a face, since so it's written behind and before thou hast formed me. Right. When we go to the Eruvin 18a, notice what it says here. It says the first man had 2 faces. Right. And it tries to twist scripture to justify that. Thou hast shaped me behind and before. It goes on to say here. Right. One explains a full face and the other explains a tail. But notice this here. This is coming from the Jewish Midrash. Notice what the Jewish Midrash says. It says here, right? When the Holy One, blessed be he, created Adam, he created him an hermaphrodite, bisexual. This is coming from the Midrash. Come on, family. Come on, family. Come on, family. But so many of our brothers and sisters are relying on this book. Right. And again, no disrespect to Pastor Omar. But in that lesson that I highlighted, he heavily relied on the book of Jubilees. Come on, family. And this is what the book of Jubilees is echoing. But let me give a historian during this time. Let's see what Josephus says about the creation process. Let's see if he echoes those same things that we just read, highlighted from the book of Jubilees. Did he say that there were two creations? I'm going to show you that he didn't. This is coming from the antiquities of the Jews, right? Book 1. Moreover, Moses, after the seventh day was over, right, the first week, begins to talk philosophically and concerning the formation of man. What this is saying is now Moses is giving you more details of how man was created, the responsibilities of man. And concerning the formation of man, says thus, that God took dust from the ground and formed man and inserted in him a spirit and a soul. This man was called Adam, which in Hebrew tongue signifies one that is red, because he was formed out of the red earth, compounded together, for of that kind is virgin and true earth. God also presented the living creatures when he had made them according to their kinds, both male and female, to Adam, who gave them those names by which they are still called. But when he saw that Adam had no female companion, no society, for there was no such created, and that he wandered at the other animals, which were male and female, he laid him asleep and took away one of his ribs, and out of it formed the woman. Whereupon Adam knew her when she was brought to him, and acknowledged that she was made out of himself. Now a woman is called in Hebrew tongue Asa, but the name of this woman Eve, which signified the mother of all living. Right. So, but I just gave you clarity here. Now, if I went back to the book of Jubilee, you'll see it here. They give even more clarity. Let's go back here. Let's go back to the book of Jubilee. All right. Look here in the book of Jubilee. Let me see if you can see it in the backdrop. Because I thought I put it in here. Man, I thought I put it in here. Let me see. Let me add this slide here. I thought I put it in this slide, but let me add it in here. I don't know. I thought I had it in here. Let me add this one slide here because I want to highlight another verse in the book of Jubilees. Let's pull it up here real quick. All right. What time is it? All right. We're making good time. Let me drop the link inside the comment section as well. All right. Let me drop it here. But let me add verse 7 and 8 here so you get an understanding, some additional understanding of the book of Jubilees. Let's put it in here real quick. Bear with me 1 second. All right. Let me see here. All right, let's see here. Let's go back to the book of Jubilees. I want to put, I didn't put these additional verses here. Let me put these additional verses here. All right, let's put that here. All right. And you'll see that what they're saying here. All right. All right, so let's highlight. Let me take out. I'm just modifying this slide real quick, family, so I could put clarity here. All right. And I may even pull up the book here for you to, so I can read from it real quick. All right. So I'm going to put up here verse 8 and 9. Let me see here. All right. So let's put 9 up here. All right. So I'm just modifying it real quick, family. The slide here, I'm adding these two passages here. All right. All right. Let me go back over to, let me go to chapter 3 here. And I may even share this screen so you guys can see. All right. But I want to put this particular portion here. All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm just taking a screen print real quick so you guys can see it. And family, this every wind of doctrine, this is what the Apostle Paul is talking about. We keep getting tossed to or fro, every wind of doctrine. And he's making it clear that the leaders should not be leading the people into this foolishness. Having the people being tossed to and fro by what? Every wind of doctrine. That's what Apostle Paul is actually saying. And what's happening to our brothers and sisters today? Being tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine. Not questioning anything, just taking everything for face value, not questioning it, right? We got all the smoke for our own people, right? You know, when they're in the church, but not in this awakening. We start making up all kinds of excuses to condone a lot of contradictory behavior within this community. All right. Let me pull this up here real quick. All right, let's see here. And again, that's still part of what I been teaching tonight, the spirit of the Queen of Heaven. All right, so let's pull this up here. 8 and 9. All right, almost have it done, family. And I'm gonna check the chat here in a second because I can't see what's going on in the chat. So moderators, please make sure that people are not acting crazy. All right. All right, Yaquaba, I'm gonna get with you in a second. If you could hold on 1 second, I'm just modifying this slide, and then I'll let you voice your thoughts. So let me just bring this slide over. Just need to do one more thing. All right. Let's see here. Jubilees. All right, here we go. All right. Man, family, you guys don't even realize how much work putting one presentation is. It takes a lot of work to put together these presentations. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and go back here. All right. And I want you to see, let's skip down to verse 8 and 9. Let's see here. I just added it here. And this is them trying to force a certain narrative here. So this is what it says here. Verse 8 in the book of Jubilees, chapter 3. And the rib, his wife, in the second week, he showed her unto him. And for this reason, the commandment was given to keep in their defilement. The commandment, what commandment? I just shared with you, right? Coming out of Leviticus, right? I just shared with you guys the law of the law of purification, law on Leviticus 12, verse 1 through 5. That's what this is referring to. He showed unto her, and for this reason, the commandment was given to keep in their defilement for a male 7 days, and for a female twice 7 days. In other words, 2 weeks. And after Adam had completed 40 days in the land where he had been created, we brought him unto the Garden of Eden to keep it. But his wife they brought in on the 80th day. So what this is doing is tying it into Leviticus chapter 12, being that Adam gave birth supposedly to a girl, even though this law of purification is for the women, but this is based off of Adam because Eve being a female, right? So Eve was not able to come into the garden. In other words, as you see here, on the 80th day, she had to stay isolated from him up to 80 days. After 2 weeks, Adam got to see her, right? But she had to separate herself. Adam had to be separated, as you see, for 40 days, but Eve had to be separated for 80 days. Come on, family. Come on, family. Anyway, Yaquaba got you here. I'm good now. Appreciate you, my brother. Oh, excuse me.
Shalom.
Shalom, my brother. How's everything?
Everything is all right. I've been listening to you. I've been listening to you lately, and you, like the topics that you've been covering, I've noticed that, this is something very prevalent among us. I think that they're trying to also, and if this book is old as it's stated, it's showing that they've been having this agenda for our people for a long time, trying to get us to practice this lifestyle, this what they call new, but it was going on in Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, and see, unfortunately, many of our brothers and sisters is grabbing hold of this stuff. So, like I said, this book was written in the 1st century during the time of the Maccabees, but yet many are taking this and making this become the authoritative text. This is written over 1,000 years after the book of Genesis. We're almost 1,500 years afterwards. And many are running to this right here and allowing this to have more authority than the Torah.
It's strange. And I was looking at how even, how they changed our names, how they had changed Daniel.
Yeah.
How they changed Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and that bad Negro. How they changed all of the names and stuff. And like, even when you look at the continent, they done changed that. I don't know how many times. Like at one time, in history, which is the Bible, one time we called it Adana, Eden. I think that's how you say it. And then like when the Tower of Babel had hit, and this is why I think a lot of confusion come in when the Tower of Babel had hit, everybody language had changed. So now like when you say like I was telling the brothers and sisters on a video a while back, it's a short video on how in Kiswahili they say kaka, it means brother, but in Spanish it don't mean the same thing. And like when you say dada in Kiswahili, it means sister, but in English dada don't mean sister. You know what I'm saying? So when we trying to what you was talking about, how the Catholic Church try to put everything together and make it all fit in, so you have a whole mantra of different words that mean something totally different, and trying to put them in and cram them together inside of one crayon box and make them all fit. And if you put all the colors together in the crayon box, it's gonna make the color black. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what a lot of these doctrines is coming from a lot of different languages, and because we've been scattered to every nation on earth. You know what I'm saying? So some of us speak Arabic, some of us speak Spanish, some of us speak Greek, some of us speak all these different languages, and trying to cram all of those other ways on how words are spoken. Like, and I'm almost done, Pastor. But you know how they say Yiddish and they say Hebrew, they using those letters that comes from Yavan's children. They using those letters that what they call it, the Yiddish letters, and they using it to pronounce Hebrew words. Now we using English letters to pronounce Hebrew words. You see what I'm saying? So when we pronounce a word in a certain way, we don't have no ha. You know what I'm saying? In English, we don't have a lot of the letters that's in Hebrew. So trying to put these words together, we reading in the Bible, and we don't even see that the way that we're pronouncing the words, the Bible is not even saying, pronounce that even in the language that we get it. You know what I'm saying? Like when I was reading about Sarah, right? And I look inside of
real quick, Yaquab, let me just respond real quick, because you're giving a lot. Let's just real quick with the Yiddish, just to give clarity. With Yiddish, right? What they did was they took the Syriac block letters and they're attaching a mixture of sprinkling Hebrew expressions over their slang tongue, because Yiddish is different version of Yiddish. If whatever Jews or the Jews as we know them, they're in Hungary rather. Guess what? There's a form of Yiddish there, and they sprinkle some Hebrew on top of it, but it still is the foundation of the Yiddish. So the point, and I definitely understand your point, and this is one of the issues, is when you start understanding language. Language is a reflection of that culture, right? When you see Greek, guess what? Greek is going to be the reflection of that culture, of the Greeks. It's going to point to their culture, their deities and everything. So that's the same thing when we start dealing with languages from other cultures, because it's still dealing with their culture. English, it's a Germanic language, and the religion of that Germanic group of people was the Norse. So therefore, this is why we see the influence of the months, Norse, Old English names. This is why we see the days of the week, Old English names. So language, and to your point, language can have a bearing on even how we can misinterpret scripture. That's why names have meaning, and I stress that over and over. So anything else, my brother, because I got a couple of people waiting here. Anything else you want to share?
Just one more thing. There's something going on in the background. It was a sister that I was talking to. I know that we are a nation of royal priests, and so I don't like to see our brothers and sisters in a different way just because they have a different way on how they seeing things. I was telling her that they don't, like, she was stating that that's not their normal language, is not Hebrew, and almost to a certain way it seemed like she was trying to defend them in some kind of way and saying that we speak in Ebonics. But what I was trying to tell, like what you just said, like they're not speaking Hebrew the original way, so they added their accent and all those things in it. So, and the question was this as well, like why do they keep trying to talk about yabba dabba do and all that and Scooby Doo when we trying to study the manuscripts using the letters, and that will also fuse a lot of people to run away from what is necessary for us to learn these things the proper way. I think we need to allow people to learn without insulting them. And that's what I see. Like, we don't get a lot of insults when we just say Yahweh and Yesu and all these things. But the majority of insults, I notice it come when we say Yahweh Shai Yahweh. That is where I see a lot of the insults. And I think that we need to get back to the basics first before we can start branching out and going and learning all these different languages if we want things to be in this proper context.
Well, to your point, part of the issue is just ignorance, because again, I teach ancient Hebrew and I teach the Israeli language. Now, here you've been listening to me for quite some time. I don't disrespect anyone. If they say Yahweh, if they say Yahuwah or Yeshua, guess what? It's not a deal breaker. But for me, long as you don't insult me when I say Yahweh Shai or Yahweh, right? Because then, I'm going to have to go in with history and facts proving that, that's not the case. There was, not getting into all of that, but you know what I mean? But unfortunately, even when we think about the older generation, they didn't pronounce they didn't speak clear English. You know what I mean? A lot of it was broken English, but did they insult one another? Because they didn't, they didn't have the European education. They didn't articulate themselves in the way of the Europeans, but they were very astute in their languages, their culture. They didn't do these things. But this is where you start getting into that spirit of Catholic that spirit of the slave master. Anything that contradicts or appear to go against what they are teaching, they demonized. They called it the devil, whatever the case may be. So the scripture says in order to obtain friends, we have to be what? Friendly, present ourselves as being friendly. And I think that's one of the issues that our brothers and sisters are having or lacking, is because that spirit of the colonizers divide and conquer. But I appreciate it, my brother. Anyone you want to throw inside the garbage can before I let Felicia come in next?
The broken English doctrine. Everything that the Negroes say is broken.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you. Here's the garbage can to that. All right. Appreciate it, Yaquaba. Have a great remainder of the night. All right. Appreciate it, my brother. Thank you for the love and support over the years. Really appreciate you. All right. Don P, I'm going to let Sister Felicia come in first, and then I'll let you come in. All right. Sister Felicia, you have the floor.
Pastor Kelly, good evening, everyone. Thank you so very much for what you can you hear me fine? Can you hear me now? Okay.
You kind of breaking up a little bit, but I can hear you some of what you say. You kind of sound like you're breaking up a little bit though.
Is that a little better?
Go ahead and try speaking. I'll see if I can make out what you're saying. I can't hear you, sis. Yes, Sister Felicia, we cannot hear you. You may want to disconnect and then connect again to see if that'll fix your connection, your connectivity issue. But we can't hear your audio. All right, Brother Don, you got the floor.
Pastor. I was just typing a message so Sister Keller to go out and come back in. Because age before beauty and grace before all that stuff.
Yours breaking up too.
Really? Let me twist my headset so to possibly get a better connection. How is it now?
It's still got it's breaking up, and got some static behind it.
Okay. This is weird. It happens with certain people's stream yards. Is the connection any better?
You may have to do the same, my brother. You may have to go out and come back in.
Yeah, I might come in on a whole different apparatus. Okay.
All right, try coming back in. I'm gonna let Felicia. She just came back in, but we'll be here. All right, Sister Felicia. Hello, Sister Felicia. You can unmute yourself. Right now, you're muted. There you go.
Okay, is that better?
That's better.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
That's better. Great. Well, thank you so much for taking my call. Thank you. And Pastor Kelly, thank you for the scholarship that you give us with the messages and the lessons. We know it takes a lot of work, and it's much appreciated. But what I also want to say, when you came out with the piece, I think on Thursday night, I had just watched that video on Wednesday night. And of course, I was like, what? The little meme you play all the time, that was going in my head. And so when you came out with the lesson the next day, I was so excited. And I tried to stay up with you and Sister Carol last night, but I fell asleep. But so thank you for coming back. The lesson, one of the things that is so heartbreaking for me to digest, study for themselves. And, I come from the Baptist tradition, like you've been classically trained through seminary, but we did not learn a lot of this in seminary. And then also that goes back to why people in the church are just refusing to receive the truth when it's there in black and white. And one of the things I would always say to people when I taught was in the church, which I'm no longer in the church anymore, like most of the people on the line here, is don't check your brain at the door. And our people continue to check their brains at the door and put something of man above what the word says. And more than anything, that is the piece that is so heartbreaking. And especially around Shabbat, for me, that was the beginning of my awakening. That is the one piece of the word that broke through and opened my eyes to the deception, to the lies, to the twisting of scripture. And because I was exhausted, and the spirit let me know the reason why you're exhausted is because you're not making use of a gift I've given you and a commandment, which is Shabbat. And I began to then dig out and go back and pull out books and pull out scriptures and begin to dig down to recognize that what I had been taught was a lie. And then I asked the question, okay, what other lies have I been told? And then from there, the spirit was like, okay, you want to know? You want to know? I'm going to open up the books and start to dismantle all of these lies that you grew up learning in the Baptist church and in seminary and some of the things that you taught. And so like you, I had to go back and repent. I had to apologize. I had to drop to my knees. I had to repent not only for what I taught, but had to repent for taking so long to really dig into that word and look beyond what I had been taught. Even though myself, I was saying, don't check your brain at the door, I recognized that I had checked my brain at the door on so many things. And the people that I had trusted. And so, some of the people that I've watched over the years, and I've only been awake for about 3 years now. I'm going into my 4th year. And so, but I've done a deep dive over the last 3 years in breaking out those books from seminary and the books that you told us to go get. I've gone to get them. And I thank Yah that I have the ability to do that, the means to do it. But what I really pray for our people is that the desire to know the truth, walk in it, because a reckoning day is coming. A reckoning day is coming. And as you posted, I think it was last night or this morning, we all are accountable. We are going to be accountable whether we know it or not. And so many of us have had the opportunity to know it, but refuse to bow the knee and refuse to walk in truth. And so I just want to thank you for how you give us a wonderful word that is in depth, that comes with sources, that comes with an open book of where we can go and research it, and you encourage it. And you are humble enough to say, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll come back and apologize. But at the end of the day, you're leading us in truth, and you're giving us sources, and you're encouraging us to study, as the word says, to show ourselves approved, and not just take your word for it, but to take the word that's in the word and to follow that. So I just want to say thank you, and continue to do what you do. And I will keep you in prayer. And hopefully someday I can come out and visit your ministry and meet you and your family. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sis. Really appreciate it. And powerful testimony. And I can relate to everything you said. And people don't realize that's the hardest thing. It's so humbling when you have to apologize, when you repent, and, to let the people know that you were wrong. And, it's like, it has you question like, well, yeah, what, did everything was everything that that I was teaching over the years completely wrong? Was I, how many people did I mislead, or, do I have blood on my hand because of, having certain people that was babes that was under the teaching? Many people don't understand that process, of the constant daily repentant of, man, that one person that you may not ever have contact with again, but you may have taught something that was incorrect. And sis, I really appreciate it. And any thoughts you want to share on that real quick, before I let you go? You still there, Felicia? All right. I think we're having connection issues again, but thank you, sis and family. She hit it right on the nail. It is not easy. And when, especially as she shared, she repented in front of the people. She had to tell the people that she was wrong. And family, these schools are not cheap. You spending tens of thousands of dollars. These books are not cheap. You spending thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars, and to find out that you were teaching and pushing a lie. Man, that it takes a lot to be humble and say, you know what, I know that I'm wrong, but I'm going to repent to the people. I already repented to Yah, but let me do it to the people in front of the people. That says a lot about a person's character. But Felicia, did you want to try it one more time before you go out? All right. I think Felicia having some connection issues. Don P, I'm gonna let Sister Cindy come in first, and I'll let you wrap up. Sister Cindy, did you want to say anything before I allow Don to come in?
Yes, can you hear me? Can I be heard?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Hi, Pastor Kelly. Love the teachings. I kind of wanted to backtrack to um the birth of Eve, I guess if I could say Eve, and how you were going in between Jubilees and a Talmud. Now, when you started speaking about the two faces, was that I don't know which book that was, but that reminded me of like it was trying to insinuate like it was a jinn, because a jinn, which is a demonic spirit, is like has the two faces. Or I think my question probably should be, was it trying to elude that it was more, or like Adam was more androgynous? Either way, we know it's wrong, but I just wanted to know how you perceive it and how you could tell me that was, because that was really a teacher and shocker for me.
Can you repeat that last portion of your question again? Because I didn't catch it again.
The last part, because remember when you were doing contrast between the Talmud and Jubilees in
Uh-huh.
reference to when the father took the rib from Adam. But the
Yeah.
way that, I don't know if it was the Talmud or Jubilees, it referenced it as if it was it said something about two faces. And when you
Yeah.
spoke about the two faces, that's a jinn, like a demonic spirit. But I don't
Yeah.
know if it meant like it was, a jinn, or that it was trying to say that Adam was androgynous. Either way, it's bad. But what did you think about that? I mean, how do you can you explain that, or tell me how you? I know you don't like when people say, "What do you think?" But can you explain that a little bit to me?
Well, to your point,
Yeah.
no matter how you look at it, it's bad. You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
nothing good. Whether it's the hermaphrodite, whether it's what's that Shakti? Because is it Shakti that had the three faces?
Mm-hmm.
In Hindu, I can't remember if it's Shakti
I'm
or
not sure. I know
Kali.
about the jinn.
Yeah. So, but all of that still is not. It's not biblical. It's teaching perversion. It's
Indeed.
teaching that Adam and Eve occupied the same body.
Right.
So one way or the other, it's still a contradiction, no matter how we look, and it is demonic.
Absolutely.
Because we know that's not what the scripture says.
Mm-hmm.
From the book of Jubilees, it's literally basically saying Adam gave birth to Eve,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And that Adam had the law of purification that's applied to women that give birth is applied. It's saying that it started with Adam.
Mm-hmm.
You see you see the contradictions in that. So it's so
Absolutely.
many contradictions, but it's still, no matter how we look at it, it's still anti-Torah. It's still anti-Yah. It's still anti-word. No matter how we slice and dice it, it's not good. No matter how you look at it.
Agreed. Very appreciative. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, sis. Really appreciate it. And anyone you want to throw in the garbage can before I let you go?
Just the misinformation, the bad definitions that confuse our people. If you can just throw that in there.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you, sis. Thank you for the love and
Thank
support.
you.
Really appreciate you, and have a blessed remainder of the night. Okay.
You as well. Thank you.
All right, Uncle Don, you got the floor.
Uncle Don, man, we close to the same age. But you're trying to tell me you younger than them Playboy.
Oh yeah, I'm much younger than you, Uncle Don.
Okay, well, fair enough, fair enough. I love you all the same, Pastor. Just to be clear about what was said, because are you hearing me okay?
Yeah, you still got static. I can hear your voice, but it's still static in there. Do you have earphones on? Like
I have a headset
maybe
on. I have
readjust
a
your
headset
headset.
on, and you know what? It's really crazy about the positioning of things. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna kill this headset, and I'm gonna just try to pick up on the mic.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay? Because I was looking to kill this mic.
Yeah, I'm still hearing the static.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill this mic. I'm trying to go into the controls on the application so I can kill this mic. There we go.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yah's
there
son
we go.
said you sound like
So now,
one of the
can you hear me
Transformers.
better?
You sound like one of the
Can you hear me
Transformers,
better?
like a Decepticon or Autobot.
I tried to kill that mic. It should be dead.
Try it now.
Yeah, the mic should be dead now.
Yeah, it's still static. Like it's
Okay.
does it have batteries in it or anything?
Let's see what's going on here.
All right. While you doing that, real quick, I'm gonna let Sister Felicia say something real quick while you're adjusting.
Okay.
All right, Sister Felicia, you had the floor again. All right, can you hear me, Sister Felicia?
Yes, Pastor Kelly, can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you
ma'am.
hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I could not go to bed without doing the trash can. So I like to put everyone in the trash can who refuse to acknowledge that. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Trash can for me. Trash can for me would be everyone who refuses to acknowledge that the law still stands.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's get in the garbage can right now.
Please do. Thank you. Good night.
All right. Have a good night, sis. All right. Got Sister Carol here, and we have Don P. Matter of fact, let me give a special shout out here. See someone here that I haven't seen in a minute here. C. Brooks, want to say peace and blessings to you. Great seeing you in the chat here. Hope all is well with you. All right. Sister Carol, I know Don P is working on this connection.
I think Brother Don is AI. Got AI going on over there. He's Chat GPT.
Go ahead, sis.
I was gonna say, I'm just reading some of the comments. You may have a bunch of books that you've purchased in your disposal because you're trying to get as much information you possibly can to try to learn all that we have been misinformed. I suggest, okay, you bought the books, but put them to the side and just pick up your Bible and get those first 5 books down. If you don't learn Torah, nothing else is going to help you. All it's going to do is create more confusion to the confusion you already have. We're already confused in Christianity. And that has to be purged out of your brain, out of your system, and rebirth yourself into learning what we should have been taught years ago from a child. Going after other information is not going to help you until you get a full understanding of what you're reading in those first 5 books. Then go seek out the history to connect. If you start seeking out history first before you really understand those 5 books, you are going to create confusion. And then you'll find yourself in an anti-situation that you shouldn't be in the first place. And that's really important upon you. Please learn Torah. Learn it.
Absolutely, because you read the words of Christ, the Messiah. That's all they quoted was Torah.
The whole book.
So exactly, that's all they quoted.
The whole
They didn't
entire
have a
book.
New Testament. They had the law and the prophets. So
that's
I totally agree with what you said, and that's what I had to do.
Yes.
I had to throw all my books aside and then just went through Torah line by line.
Yes.
I went through the good news line by line.
By line.
And I was like, let me see if I can find all the passages that the Messiah and the disciples are quoting. So that's why, that's why I could say, I'm really, pretty thorough when it comes to going to scripture, when it comes to connecting the words of the Messiah and his disciples and all those guys to Torah, because I made an assertive effort to thoroughly go and comb the scriptures like that to make sure that I have a basic foundation and understanding of the text. So real quick, hey, Brother Don, did you get it together?
I don't know. You're gonna have to tell me, because I started turning everything off. And I was like, okay, there's a problem. And a shout out to Sister Carol, because she reminded me of them older sisters when I was a younger brother. But now I'm in that age range where that's my sister. And so
we're the
shout
same
out to
age
what
range.
she was saying, because she was given a bunch of wisdom.
We're the same age range.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you remind me of them older sisters when I was a younger dude.
Right.
And they was spouting that wisdom. And Pastor, you've been busy today. You've been real busy today. You've been putting in that work today. So, I commend you for that. There were a lot of links that I think you needed to make within a 24-hour period or 12-hour period to make the point succinct. And I commend you for doing that. Because that takes dedication, that takes work, it takes focus, etc. We're in a space in time right now that we actually see in the scriptures. And the month of June has been really, really interesting for me. In the endeavors that the Most High, has put on my heart to move forward.
Hey, Brother Don, I'm gonna cut you off, but your static sound like you got an old Bobby Brown ear.
You know what? I'm hearing you now.
It sound like you about to take it back to the 90s, man.
Man, I'm buying.
You sound like you got like one of those old walkie-talkies by
You sound
Mattel.
like you got mail AOL.
Okay.
Remember Mattel?
Right.
Remember those old Mattel walkie-talkies?
Dial up.
You sound
DSL.
like you got a Mattel walkie-talkie.
Two-way.
I know. I hear it. And I'm like, going, oh my goodness, we didn't solve that problem. So it just
Man.
tells me what time it is. Hey, listen. Give me a minute.
You had to
got
move
the
that
string in the
antenna
can.
around, man.
He got the
Listen,
string in
you
the
had
can.
you had
I
to
got, I'm on a whole different
spoil on the
device.
antenna. You sound really bad though. All right, go ahead, give
He
it,
got Morse code.
yeah.
He out of space.
Now, brother Don got the old hanger. He got the hanger on the tip of his phone tonight
His ears,
with the
right?
aluminum
And the
foil,
foil.
right?
Aluminum foil. Sound like Sputnik.
Well, man, he got the, like I said, he sound like he got the old Mattel. Remember Mattel?
The old Mattel, right? Houston, we have a problem. Control.
Like he using one of those. Remember the baby speakers? Like he trying to talk to one of the baby speakers, you know?
It's too funny. Oh,
but yes, it's definitely appreciated. Any final words? We're gonna try Don one more time, but if not, we're gonna have to call it a wrap because I'm getting kind of sleepy here.
Yeah. You've been going 48 hours strong with this. It's like a revival you got going on with this. But we just have to, when you just read the book. When you have a question about something, go to the book. When you hear something that just does not make any sense to you, go to the book. The word, not those other books, Torah. And read it. What did the Messiah say about it? Go look it up. And I guarantee you will find the answer. The more and more I read, the more and more stuff this comes to me. Is like, wow, how did I miss this? And it's sad and funny at the same time because you read the book in church, but you didn't read the book in church. But now you're reading it, you're digging through it, and you're grasping it. And it jumps out at you. It almost bites you. Because it's so stern and it's so forceful to you. So when you hear something that's just way out, go to the book. That is
Absolutely.
your source. That's your source for everything. It's the book. It is a manual of our life.
Absolutely. And to keep it simple. And again,
Yes.
We can't let down our guards. And that's one of the things I see. We come out of the church, our guards are up towards, coming out of church and the church doctrine and all of that. But then we get into this awakening and we just let all our guards down.
Yes.
You still have to keep your guards up. You still have to, continue that make that assertive, proactive approach of working out your own salvation. So be careful, family. And again, I'm not trying to knock anyone, but I want to make sure that you understand when you pulling on these other sources, make sure you do the research on the sources you're pulling from.
You're right.
When you want to purchase a car, you want to do the research on the car that you purchase. If you purchase a house, likewise, do the same because again, you only get this one opportunity in terms of this life. So you want to make sure that you do what you need to do in the right frame of mind and make sure that you're not using a butter knife as you come to this battle that we're in. And many are coming to the battle, the war field, the battlefield with butter knives, already at a disadvantage. So I think Don dropped off, man. I think that his connection is still bad, man. I was waiting for something to say, you got Mel,
His DSL cut off on him. Somebody picked up the phone. Somebody picked up the phone and knocked him off.
Let's try Don one more time. If not, we're gonna have to wrap it up because I'm getting tired here. Hey Don, you here again. Let's try it again. Oh, he dropped off. You got mail. You know what I mean? I'm waiting for somebody for Don to yell upstairs, somebody hang up the phone. Because
No,
when you
that's
had the
right. You
old
knocked me
modems,
off, right?
you couldn't be on the phone.
Right. Exactly.
Let's try it again.
Eventually,
Go on, Don.
Hasatan is gonna give up.
There you go, Don.
Eventually, Hasatan is gonna give up
You had
because
to
you
run.
know
You had
what?
to run to the. You had to run to the
What-
other side of the house and say, "Get off the phone."
What did the widow say? What did the widow do? What did the widow do? And he said, "You know what? I'm gonna have to straighten her out because she gonna wear me out."
Don had to clear his inbox, his AOL inbox.
No, I'm buying a new phone. I'm buying a couple new phones. And then we're getting the rest of the studio stuff together, man. It's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be ugly when I'm done.
Don got his BlackBerry. Don is still using the BlackBerry.
The creatures that came back.
Don using his Palm 5.
The creature. You wrong. It's the sidekick.
Got that
Stop
old
playing.
Motorola with the kid in the car.
Exactly. He got the Motorola, right? With the
kid in the car.
They got the speaker on it too.
Sidekick 3. Stop playing. Hey,
man,
hey, but
you got
no,
better,
I was just like appreciating. This phone is gone. We're done with this thing. This thing is horrible. It's an Apple product.
He got his Dixie cup with 2 strings.
Yes, it.
Man, it didn't start out good. It started out good, didn't it?
Yep.
And then it went to crocodile.
Control.
See, this is how
man.
This is how capitalism works. They make you,
know,
buy a new phone.
Don got his Commodore 64 to work.
There you go.
Man, this is an Apple phone. I'm like, really? Seriously? For real?
That's not Apple.
Dude,
Snapple. You got
which Apple? I know. You say you got an Apple phone. It's like,
we'll pick this up on the
what
back,
year?
back page. But
you got the original Apple phone.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to figure out what I can do to make this stop doing what it's doing because it's like really annoying me.
Jump up and down.
You got the original Apple, man. You got the matter of fact, you got the Apple Juice phone.
There you go. He got a real
man.
Apple. He got a real apple. I can bite into it. That's him chewing.
I got the Apple that Eve had. I got the Apple Eve version.
Man,
you got
the suitcase. You got the
on that one.
you got the suitcase phone. You got the brick with the suitcase.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what's crazy though? I'm hearing a lot of static when I'm talking to you, but on the playback, it's coming through a lot clearer.
Oh, don't try to put it on us here.
That's you. That's all you.
No. I can hear in my studio, I can hear the playback. And it's coming through a lot clearer than what we're hearing right now between you and us. You know, you me, and sister. I'm listening to the playback.
You sound like you're about to make another like a Saw 12 movie.
Yeah, but when I'm listening to the playback, Pastor, when I'm listening to the playback, which is delayed, it's coming through clear. That's the way I'm studio set up. It's like we got the delay. But at any rate, you know.
All right, go ahead real quick, Don. Don.
You've been punching it out today. A lot of good information. You know, in where we are today, you sometimes just got to stand in your square and let all of the winds and everything else blow through. And you stand on your square, you know, which you know is truth. And you let that be the, I don't want to say justification, but you let that, I'm lacking the word. It's going to stand for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm lacking the word that I want to use. But when you stand on that square and then when all the adversity hits you and it blows by you, you let that truth be the beacon that you stood up on. And that brought you through because you stood on that truth. At the same time, you know, what you did is admirable as well. When we're in error, we admit it. That's it. And then you're done. And nobody can fault you for that, man, because we all make mistakes or whatever. Not to say that you made a mistake. I'm just talking in general. Because I do. But it's been really strange, man. It's been really strange in this nation and people that have professed to be things, and then you find out that they're behaving just like the rest of the world. So we're living in very precarious times. I want to say this to my people of the nation. You're going to have to hang on to those people that you know are true and that are moving in the same direction you're moving in, that believe in, what Amashiach has said and what we've come to understand, because, wow, those perilous times it talks about and all the deceptions, brother, that's right. We right here. We right here. And so I love you, man. Keep, putting out that truth. Keep putting out that truth. And humility will always keep you justified, because when a man can't admit any shortcomings, then I'm kind of like going, yeah, I'm moving away from you because you going in the direction of a cult leader. So anyway, love you, Pastor. Thank you for putting up with all this stuff. With the craziness now, it sounds really clear. So I'm like, wait, was a sister on here? Maybe it was her device. Anyway, I will talk to you soon.
All right, appreciate it, Brother Don, and have a blessed night. Anyone you want to throw in the garbage can as you get ready to wrap up?
Oh, I do. The YouTube and all these wireless people that have been messing with me all night long, and you too. Been messing with you all night long too. Because when you was bringing that truth, they was blocking you. So let's throw them all in the garbage can.
All right, here we go. All right, appreciate it, Brother Don. We're going to get ready to wrap up here. Sister Carol, anyone you want to throw in the garbage can before we wrap up?
All trolls that want to not keep the covenant.
Hold up, did Don P just say nano?
I think he did.
Nobody knows what you're talking about, Pastor. So you retarded. I got a show that we're gonna be doing on my channel. Hey, Pastor, I got a show we're gonna be doing on my channel. It's called Three's Company. I'll talk to you about it later. Anyway, I love you, Pastor. I'm about to jump off.
All right, Don. All right, Brother Don. All right, Sister Carol, you want to throw the garbage can real quick?
We're gonna put Don P Wi-Fi in the trash can. That's what we're put in
Nano. Let's put it in the trash can right now.
Put it in the trash can right now.
All right, family. Appreciate you guys. I'm getting ready to call it a wrap. I encourage you guys go back over and watch the lesson again. Actually, watch the last 3 lives again to put things in its proper perspective. And actually, I encourage you guys even go back and watch some of the lessons I did on Revelation, dealing with the prophecies. Covered a lot over this past month. I'm gonna take a break over the next few days. I know I said this, I say that sometime, and then I go on this stretch. But I'm taking a break. I'm gonna do some uploads over the next week. We're gonna do part 2 to Flee Babylon. We're gonna do part 2 to that, and we still have to finish up with Exodus. The second Exodus, giving clarity on that. So I encourage you guys, go back over and watch some of those lessons. Got some uploads that I'm going to do, some short clips that I'm going to upload over the next couple of weeks. It's very educational, going to really assist you guys with some key information. But with that being said, in the words of the Most High, through to Moses in Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 to 14, that he had given to Moses to encourage the people. He said that, fear ye not, stand still, see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today, they will not have power over you ever again. The Most High will fight for you. But here's the kicker, family. You have to hold your peace. Can't go back, can't stay here. Keep moving forward. Shalom.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was black. Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was the... Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.